Hello, and welcome. And today we've got a chat with Matt. That rhymed. I didn't realise it was going to rhyme. Matt has just finished some work with me, and we're here just to talk through how he found it and just get a little bit of information about his experience, because I think it can be really helpful just to hear from a real person how this whole process works and how someone finds it. So do you want to just give us a little bit of background, Matt, about how you came across TMS, what you thought about it, and how you came to how we came to meet?
So I was made aware of the TMS idea through just the internet to start with. I actually found out on a forum, I think, about its existence, and that intrigued me because I was suffering a number of symptoms at the time, including IBS, sort of pelvic symptoms, anxiety, and various other sort of tension-related things that I would experience sort of on and off. And I ended up watching some videos on YouTube which explained what TMS was, which sort of intrigued me a bit more to explore this idea of healing physical issues through a psychological process. So I ended up buying some of the well-known books on TMS. I believe it's like the one by Steve O that I bought initially.
We all struggle with his surname, don't we? But isn't it or something?
Yeah,
I think maybe
exactly. I read through that and basically started doing what the book was recommending and trying to understand my emotions, really, which is something that I wasn't really familiar with. And I did have some success on my own initially, but eventually I found that I needed a bit of help with it. And this is where I was looking for a therapist that would practice or is aware of TMS and actually integrates that into their therapeutic process. After a quick Google, I found Tina, and that was around December last year, and we had an initial chat on the phone, and I knew she was the one because there's someone in the UK that understood what this was. It's surprising. I didn't expect to find someone, but I did. I think that's how I started out.
And so when we first started speaking, it was evident that it definitely TMS, wasn't it? You'd already started that process and had that success, and I think that's often what people find is that they have that little bit of a success, or they really resonate with what they've heard. We know deep down that is what this is. It's TMS, it's stress illness, and so it really sets the scene, doesn't it? So you said there was IBS symptoms and anxiety and that. So did it feel at any time to reveal it? Because I know that some people feel very awkward at talking about certain symptoms, and I know with IBS, pelvic symptoms especially, they can feel really quite embarrassing. They're sort of those personal symptoms, aren't they? Did it ever feel like that for you?
In the first time I mentioned it in the first session, I think it was a bit difficult, but after that, that absolved. That wasn't really a problem, and I realized it was a complete non-issue anyway. It's not like you have to talk serious detail. It's just describe what's going on and then form a plan of action, I suppose.
Yes, that's the thing, isn't it? Because it's not necessarily talking about the symptoms that we need to do, is it?
Yeah, exactly. It's the emotional exploration, really, because most people are completely unaware of the emotions they experience day to day, including myself, or was a lot more aware now. And the intimate connection with how your body functions.
So was that first session what you expected? It was therapy itself, what you expected?
I would say it was the first session was a little different to what I'd initially expected, because it was sort of drilling down into like this journaling aspect, which I'd only briefly touched on. But everything else was, because it was all related to TMS and sort of understanding these behaviors that you might be undertaking to hide your emotions and things like that. But yeah, once we started the journaling process, that was, really when that's sort of what I expected. And, when you start seeing results, that's,
that's when we started seeing that smile.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think the thing was with that, your first session was the fact that you'd had some success, and we could see that we needed to focus on that journaling, that the journaling was the missing link, the thing that would connect you back to those emotions. So yeah, that's sometimes different for different people, but yeah, journaling is a big part for some people. And you'd already been meditating sometimes as well, hadn't you? And so that was very useful in your recovery.
I mean, the thing that really sort of showed me how useful journaling was is that at the time I was sort of really struggling with, my mind was just so busy, and when I meditated I didn't feel much benefit, but I would still do it, and it, but sometimes it felt like a bit of a chore, which it shouldn't. It should be enjoyable. And after the journaling, and I hitting a few major sort of points in my life that I hadn't really I'd pushed them down, and I sort of discovered that I had, and sort of felt the emotions that I needed to feel. Meditating afterwards, I just felt serene, to be honest, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. So meditation for you was your relaxation, your quiet rest place, wasn't it? It was bringing you back, your whole nervous system back into your rest, digest place. And for some people, meditation is, has a different purpose and can be the exploration of your emotions. But in your case, it was, very much your safety place, wasn't it, that it became. So what did you make of the petal plan? Because that's the signature program that I work with people to develop their own petal plan, and we work through the 5 elements: the physical, the emotion, the thoughts, the actions, and then the losses and loves of our lives. So how did you find that process and the actual model itself?
I found that like a really useful tool, in the sense that it summarizes all the key information that you sort of discover on your journey through the process, because you find out a lot about yourself and various things which can feel quite overwhelming at times, but with the petal plan it's all sort of there in a very condensed, summarized form, so you don't need to worry about, have I remembered to do this, have I picked the right thing. It's just you sort of iterate on it slowly at your own pace, and it just means that you've got a key understanding of what's happening and why, but you don't ever feel overwhelmed by it all, because it's all, you keep this nice little neat summary.
Yes, yeah. So it's quite containing. It sort of helps contain it all in that, it's a diagram, it's a diagram format that we add to, and we build gradually, and then we can disseminate it and then put it back together, can't we, as we need to. So it does help you to, see where you are on the process and how far you've come and where you need to go. So it's that journey,
definitely,
as well.
It prevents you from feeling like you're clutching at straws, because once you make a discovery that is key, you can update it and add it there. So
it's a bit like a map of your journey, isn't it? It's very cliched, but it just does sound that way. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to check on my little crib sheet because so we sort of worked through for about 3.5 months, something like that. I think it was from December through March. So was that sort of within keeping your estimation of how long this process was going to take, or was it sort of quicker, shorter? I think we had 8 sessions in total, didn't we?
Yeah, it honestly surprised me, because at the start I was just, the first couple of sessions, you really want to, move forward, because obviously, you're struggling with all these various things, and you're like, oh, I don't know how long this is going to take, though, because you don't feel like an immediate whoosh, jump out the gates, amazement. But what I did find is, once you start the journaling process, once you're in the headspace to be able to do that and work through it, I found it to be extremely quick. The sort of that there was definitely a turning point, probably about halfway through, I would say, where it was probably a few key things that I visited in journaling that sort of triggered that, and my spirits were significantly lifted before the end of the process. So you do see massive benefits, within, I'd say, like a month and a half, but I wouldn't, by the same token, I wouldn't put a time limit on it, because it's such a personal process, and there's a lot to understand that you can only sort of comprehend through experience, rather than someone, you can't just be given a fact sheet and then you read that and then you're healed. It's you have to sort of live it and take it slow and go through the process in order to, to actually get there. So yeah, don't put a time limit on it. Don't expect it to be quick. Don't expect it to be long. It's just, it takes what it takes.
And I think, as you said, it's so difficult in them first few sessions, isn't it? Even before you start, we just want to know we're going to get better. We just want to know when. If you could say that, if I could say that to people, from the outset, you'll be feeling better by this date, I know more people would sign up. I know that people would be, oh yes, and I wish I could, but as you say, it's such an individual thing. It's so dependent on people's histories and what their symptoms are, and how you get on with the process, really, and how our brains are processing the information as we go through, because it does take as long as it takes, but it generally doesn't take as long as we think it's going to, once we get into it. And that's the magic of it. It's brilliant when we start to see them changes. It motivates us to do it even more, doesn't it? It motivates that.
I mean, having a guiding hand there is like completely invaluable, because trying to do this on your own, sure, it's possible, but you'll be flailing around maybe for years and years and years and years. But someone there that's a professional, then
thank you. It really does make a difference, though, doesn't it? Because there are times where perhaps you hit that difficult spot, something that you want to journal about from the past, or something in everyday life that brings up more stress. It can demotivate us. It can cause more pain. It can be that block that we don't know which way to turn. So those are the times when it's good to have someone else to talk to, whether it is a professional or someone else that understands the journey.
Because I think I remember partway through, I'd done journaling, I had some success, and I thought, oh, I'm done now. and then we discovered that wasn't the case. But I think, if I was doing this on my own, I would have, sort of plateaued at that point. Whereas, you sort of showed me that actually there's extra bits. Well, in fact, you helped me show myself there's extra bits.
And that is the thing, isn't it? That we can all do that. And I spoke to someone else today, and I said, "Oh, actually, I've just noticed another layer of mine." And we do, don't we? We are all works in progress. None of us are complete. This is a lifetime process, isn't it? And I don't want to sound like you're never going to be finished. That's not what I'm saying. It's not a doom and gloom prophecy. It's actually saying that we can combat most of what we've gone through, most of the pain, but it's not a done and dusted thing. It is a lifestyle now, isn't it?
I mean, I think you mentioned this at some point, that you become unconsciously conscious, which is difficult to sort of understand, but it just means that you are aware of, all these things that previously you were unaware of, and you're able to act on them, but doesn't require intense thought or anything like that. It's completely effortless to sort of readjust your day, in order to just stay calm and enjoy it, really.
Yeah. And is that where you are now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been doing a lot more things socially recently than I used to.
That used to be really quite difficult, and I know when we first started, that was like in those situations where things would start playing up.
I felt it difficult to sort of be present, even when I was seeing sort of loved ones and friends, and it was tough. But now it's actually the complete opposite. I'm very present and almost, you're getting to observe other people and be there with them, really there with them. Yeah, no, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone else that was sort of at the beginning, or not sure whether to start the journey? Keep saying the journey. It does sound so cliched, but it is like a journey that we go on. It is such a big, and again, I don't want to put people off by saying it's a big undertaking, but it is a commitment to do the work. It isn't something that you take on lightly. But if someone's then sort of looking at it and trying to decide, is this for me? Is this what I'm, really needing to do? Will it be worthwhile? What would you say?
Well, I mean, if you're looking for some sort of solution, then clearly there is a problem in your life that you want to resolve. And honestly, once you just, even if you dabble in the TMS process, just to try and understand it a little bit. Read one of the TMS books, or go on I think there's a wiki for TMS, things like that. Just look at a concise summary of what people do, and it tends to always revolve around journaling, and see if you can, try that and see what, how you feel, after that. And if you start to feel, progress, or, even just awareness of your try and be more aware of your own emotions, you'll sort of see that there is this connection, and you'll be like, oh wow, and you'll probably actually be excited about it and want to undertake it, rather than it be this chore. It's like, I've got to heal. It's like, actually, this is quite a exciting journey, and once you start it, you'll probably find that you want to continue it.
Yeah, and that is the key, isn't it? If we can find that curiosity, that I often think if we can look at it like scientists, sort of going to explore, or sort of trying to find the answer, it is like just exploring our minds and our emotions, and just if we explore, it's no right or wrong. It is just going on an exploration. Yeah, as you say, once we start doing that, we'll be more curious. There'll be more questions to answer, and then this is where we stumble across different things.
There can't really be any harm to doing it, so it's and honestly, you can only really see benefit, as long as you're careful, take it slow. There's no harm in giving it a try.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you summarize how you feel now, compared to how you did at the beginning?
Well, I'm no longer, I don't feel attacked by thoughts or things like that. I was very attached to needing to do things right, being very compulsive, and I just didn't feel necessarily in control. But now, because I have this sort of awareness of emotionally, if I need to feel an emotion, I will do it, or find time to do it. If you can't feel it on the spot, if you're angry with someone, you want to raise it, you want to maybe go scream in the bathroom or something.
Being appropriate with your emotions, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I just feel that this sort of natural, just relaxed demeanor now, which has meant that I can just tackle day-to-day life with more joy, and it's just less fear overall. You know, if someone asks me to do something that's out of my comfort zone, I sort of jump at it, which is never used to be how I was. Yeah, just
Yes.
feel free to do what I want to do.
Yeah, so it's given you that freedom, not just freedom from the pain, it's freedom actually in life to go socialize and to take on new challenges and to just explore life as well. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, at work I did feel like very strongly I had to be so perfect all the time, and this has allowed me to actually sort of relax and be able to just not make such a big thing of things. And yeah, that's helped me a lot as well.
brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Matt, because it's been brilliant working with you, and to see how far you have come, because I think people can't always imagine how it is at the beginning, and then can't imagine the end when they're at the beginning.
Yeah.
So to actually sort of explore that whole story with you and to share that with people is really wonderful. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it, and it's gone so quick.
Yes, that's it. It has, hasn't it? Yeah, but this is what can happen. This is what the work with TMS, stress illness, whatever label we want to give it, doesn't really matter. There is hope, and with some motivation and the right skills, we can overcome pain. We don't have to live with it forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
No worries.